Welcome, everyone. Trying a little something new here. Week 14. Hope everybody's rocking out. Feeling good tonight. The Victoria's Secret fashion show is on, so we're both in a little dancey mood, little happy mood. Let's get happy tonight.
What's not to be happy about?
Exactly, right?
What's not to be happy about?
There's too much to be happy about. That's really what it is. There's too much to be happy about. So let's see. Week 13 was a ridiculous week. My cash lineup I put up 178 in my cash lineup and was nowhere close to cashing in any of my cash games.
Right.
The threshold in pretty much every single one of my cash games was 190, which leads me to believe I'm done playing cash games. I think I'm going to take
I've been done with cash for 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, I'm taking on the Pete and Alex mentality of quitting cash and just straight up going tournament. I think I'm going to have to make that change. So to all you out there, don't worry. We're still going to go through value picks tonight. We'll still do a cash and a GPP lineup, I think, on Thursdays. But yeah, no more cash for me because I'm sick of putting up good numbers. And, there's this rash of people out there now I've noticed that sell lineups. So like even the big sites like Fantasy Alarm, places like that, they give away a lineup for people to use. So it's not like they're just giving information. They're giving away a lineup. And it's like, if a lot of those people are going to be like, oh, well, I'll take this professional's lineup and just throw it into a cash game. Well, yeah, they're going to kick my ass because I'm not a professional, right? Like, it's just not, I don't know. I'm sick of losing cash, so I think I'm just going to stick to GPPs, try and hit it big, and retire early. I think that sounds like a much better option than
that's what I've been doing all year.
Let me just try and fund my habit here and build a bankroll slowly. No, screw that. I'm going for the score. So
that's what I've been doing all year, actually. And my goal each week, as I tell you guys, is I want to survive the week. Like, I don't want to lose my bankroll.
Yep.
I want to survive the week and take another shot next week. And so far, I've actually been plus on the year. And again, this week, been plus on the year.
Dude. Which leads us into the Listener League. So
hit it.
The Listener League. Hang on.
Okay, all right. I'm just really excited for this, listeners. This is a message to you, Rudy.
Mislio, I don't know how to pronounce it. Didn't reach out to me, at least not that I saw it today, so I apologize. But we're going to go through his or her lineup in a little bit. But before we do that,
my love, too sexy for my love, love's going to leave.
This is for all the listeners from me. And if you're not familiar with your song, go ahead, Mark.
This is Pete's Listener League theme music. So every time he clicks enter into the Listener League or joins the Listener League, this is what he plays in the background.
Turn that up.
So sexy, it hurts. And I am too sexy for Milan.
This is every time I enter the Listener League, yeah.
Every time he enters the Listener League, because this kid finishes pretty much top 10 most of the time. Good God, Selena Gomez is hot. But he cashed 2 out of 5 times now, Pete?
I've only played in the Listener League 5 weeks for various reasons. Usually laziness and forgetfulness are what prevents me from playing in them. I'll either forget to enter a listener lineup as I'm doing my tourney lineups, or I'll just be too lazy to do it. But yeah, I've played in it 5 times. I've cashed twice, and I've had, I think, 1 top 10 finish to go along with those 2 cashes. So I'm officially announcing you can consider this. What week are we in? Week 13, 14? I don't know.
Coming up on 14.
Okay. My week 14 announcement for all of the listeners out there is that I'm simply too sexy for this league. You guys can't keep up with this. You cannot keep up with this. I'm too sexy for this league. I mean, 40% cash. Imagine, we were talking about this before the show. If you could cash in 40% of your tournament lineups, like, it would just be ridiculous. It would be unfair. It would be unfair. My goal is to cash so the payouts are about like 25%, right? 20 to 25%. So that's my goal, is to cash in 20 to 25% of my lineups. In the Listener League, I'm batting 400. And if we paid the top 10, I'd be batting 600, which is insane. That's like George Brett steroid numbers. So he probably didn't do steroids. I'm sorry, George Brett, but That's what I'm doing right now. I'm batting
Blasphemy,
400.
blasphemy.
Listen,
That is pretty impressive. It is impressive, but I'm more impressed. We were talking about this before the show at how you choose the right lineup. So I've mentioned before, we all enter in multiple lineups, the three of us. You guys enter in more than I do, but I seem to always pick the wrong lineup to put into this contest. And more often than not, I'd say one of my lineups could cash. And unfortunately, there's been several weeks where my lineup has put me in the 90s.
you almost did. Yeah, you almost cashed this week. You were doing pretty good for a while.
I'm 13th this week, but one of my lineups went for 208. So I would have knocked you out of the cash had I played that lineup.
Yeah.
But of course, alas, I did not, unfortunately. But
my best lineup this week.
I'm impressed by your ability to cash by putting in the right lineup.
My best lineup this week actually was I think I had a couple in the mid to high 220s. My listener league one was like 205, 206-ish, that range.
Yeah.
So, it was a nice week. If you play, it was a nice week. High scoring week. I enjoyed it.
So the winner of the listener league scored 231.88, beat out the second place person by a little over 7 points. So really nice week. In a week where everybody scored and basically everybody, hit value some way or another. Very nice week. Went naked Cam.
That's naked what we Cam, recommended actually on the show.
We did say on the show we liked naked Cam. So he throws for another 5 touchdowns, 40 points overall. He was 23% owned in the league, which is it's a good amount. He was pretty highly owned.
Right. The key to his lineup though was Javorius. Yeah, like that Buck was the key play. I didn't play enough of Buck Allen this week, and I feel stupid for it because that was one of the names that Alex and I talked about.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone really played enough of him. But when you think about it, yeah, Miami's defense their rush defense was bad, but Allen made his payday here as like a receiver, as a slot receiver, basically, as Danny Amendola or Julian Edelman, right? He didn't run routes out of the slot. I'm being facetious, but 12 catches for 107 and a touchdown. I mean, he only had 63 rush yards. He did everything on dump-offs. So nobody really predicted he's going to go off for, 38 points, thus 3% ownership in the league. So that him and I think Sammy Watkins, right? Those were two players that the winner played that were both 3% owned. Watkins 3 for 109 and a touchdown, so 22.9 points. Didn't blow the roof off, but again, that 3% ownership is pretty good, and I'm sure I didn't see it, but I'm sure LaFell was higher than 3% owned and burned a lot of people. So
that one really hurt. The Amendola versus LaFell. I mean, Amendola was a great play. The way I structured a lot of my tournament lineups, actually, I structured a lot of my tournament lineups so that I could pivot to Amendola if I needed to, or if I found out that he was definitely active. It's a risky play, but it's also a high reward play, and it paid off for Mikleo.
Yes, it did. So he did throw Amendola in his flex. Antonio Brown and Julio, that was a nice. I think that was a popular stack. Was either Antonio Brown and Julio or Antonio and Odell. Those two were really like highly owned throughout all of my tournaments that I entered.
One thing I was just gonna say one thing that I did a lot this week, which paid off in bushels, is this is how I hit a lot of 220 lineups. Is I put Antonio and A-Rob in the same lineup, and that right there, is you've got almost 90. Yeah, almost 90, right? Didn't A-Rob put up something insane like 46?
43, 46, yeah. Something ridiculous.
You're over 80 with two players. So one thing I did that really worked well was I put a lot of Antonio and A-Rob. Now, my mistake was I also would go crazy and I would do like Antonio, A-Rob, Julio, and Julio didn't pay off. But I had a couple, I had a couple Antonio, A-Rob, and then like a Decker, or like a Sammy Watkins, and those actually almost always hit. In the listener league, I played Antonio, A-Rob. The problem was there.
Freaking Ty.
Ty killed me. I thought, so what I do, so this is something I do when I lineup construct. If I'm doing a stack, so if you look at my listener league lineup, I did a D'Angelo, Antonio stack, and I did a Fitzpatrick Decker stack. What I try to do is I try to play players from the same game. I'll give you a perfect example. In my Marcus Mariota, my best lineup was my Mariota stack. I played a Mariota Delaney Walker stack, and then I played A-Rob because I wanted players from that game. Because if that game is really high scoring, right? If that game is super high scoring, then you're going to hit really huge. So I played Mariota, Delaney, and A-Rob, and that was a huge start for that lineup. And I ended up, and of course I had Antonio in there because I did a lot of Antonio A-Rob. That was my best lineup. I think it hit for 230 something.
That's a ridiculous lineup.
But that's what I do. So Mark, you were asking me about my tournament play. One of the things I do in tournament play is if I'm playing a stack, so like I'll make a list. I'll take just a piece of paper and I'll make a list of all the stacks I want to play. Okay, so here's a stack I want to play. I want to play, perfect example. I want to play Big Ben and Antonio Brown. Okay, so I got Ben and Antonio in there. Maybe I'll even throw in D'Angelo. We talked about that on the show. I used to not be so high on that. Now I'm coming around. So I'll play Ben, D'Angelo, and Antonio. Now I want to get some Colts in there because if the game is a shootout, there's a huge amount of upside. So that's what I did in our listener league lineup. It actually came back to bite me in the ass. If I had played literally anybody except T.Y. Hilton, I probably would have won the listener league this week because I'm too sexy for this listener league. Okay, but you see, it can bite you in the ass, but it can also pay off a lot, as in the case of Mariota, Delaney, and A-Rob.
Right. And that's why we're saying don't enter it into a cash game because
big downside.
More often than not, there's very, very big downside to it.
But in tournament play, like if you hit,
No, if you hit, you hit. I mean, that's what happens.
Yep.
One comment here: I didn't have enough Scott Chandler this weekend. I had a little bit, but I didn't have enough. I mean, he was.
I'd say he was
underweight on him.
Me too. And the funny thing is, I probably had him in about 20% of my lineups. Out of 40 lineups, I probably had him in about 7 to 9, and that wasn't enough. Strangely enough.
Yeah. Can
I say enough again? Have I said enough?
It was not enough. I'll say it the last time. So that's
enough.
That's enough of the listener league. On to being regular sexy, not too sexy for Pete. So let's dive right into our picks. What do you think?
Sounds good.
Shall we? Good.
Sorry, I watched Inglourious Bastards the other night. Brad Pitt.
I have.
Sound good.
I've never seen that movie.
What? What are you doing with your life, Mark? You have to go watch this movie. It's a fantastic film. Inglourious Bastards. Christopher Waltz is amazing in that. And
you know what's interesting?
Brad Pitt actually, the first time I saw it. Sorry, I'm way talking over you tonight. I apologize. Go ahead. Please go ahead. No, you go. No, you go.
I can't interrupt you during you're talking about the movie. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Brad, the first time I watched it, I thought Brad Pitt really overdid his role and it was not very interesting. But the more I watch it, I think that it's actually one of his better performances. All right, anyway, go ahead.
So what's interesting is I get told a lot. I get criticized a lot for the movies I haven't seen. So I've never seen a Star Wars film. Now,
I mean, I like Star Wars a lot, but that's not criminal to me. That's okay.
Yeah, to some people it's criminal. The fact that I work in IT, a lot of people don't believe me that I haven't seen a Star Wars film. But it's true. I haven't seen one. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'm not going to make fun of the people that love it. So you like it, whatever. I have never seen Titanic. Some of my best friends ridicule me for that, but again, for whatever reason.
Right. Well, Titanic is one of those that I've seen, but I regret seeing. If I could take it back, if I could have those 3 hours of my life back, I would take them
that was
back.
One of the reasons. It was 3 hours. Yeah. I didn't want to sit there and watch a movie for 3 hours. Especially it came out, I think, when I was 12-ish. So it was it was just so much time. But anyway, still never seen that. I never saw Animal House.
That movie is one of my all-time favorites. You don't understand how good Animal House is, dude. Oh my God. I used to watch the movie. I've probably seen that movie 100 times. It's so great. It's so great. It's so fantastic. Animal House is just, oh my God. How can you not have seen it? Okay, you know what you need to do, Mark? Christmas break, you need to find a lot of beers. Okay, you need to sit down and you need to watch first Inglourious Bastards and then Animal House back to back. I think that would be a good pairing for you. Also, since we were speaking of Star Wars, sorry, can I show you something? Is that okay? I think the listeners will appreciate this, dude.
Do you have it?
I have it. Can you hear this? Okay. I have the BB-8. This is the Sphero BB-8, and it's awesome. I'll try to hold it up and like drive it at the same time. I don't know how this is going to work. It moves on its own and it talks. Okay, so let me see if I can do this.
You're frozen on my feet. Oh, there you go. You're back.
Okay, here's the BB-8. You can move him around and he'll like talk and stuff. Let me try to get him to face the camera. This is the coolest toy I've ever got in my entire life. And he moves on his own. He talks. Okay, it's awesome. Highly recommended. 10 out of 10. Go get it for Christmas. If you're an adult like me, you can still play with toys. Nobody cares. All right. Anyway, he's just gonna hang out. Oh, he's talking to me. No, you're gonna hang out over here.
Oh, cool. Can he? Hopefully, he can provide some insight on their picks.
Yeah. Hey, what do you think, BB-8? He does talk like randomly.
Really?
Yeah.
But what though? Does he just make like gobbledygook, or does he actually say a word?
Yeah, he makes like R2D2, like that. Did you hear that?
No.
Trying to get him to talk. Oh, okay, it's not working.
That's all right.
All right. Anyway, it's a cool toy.
Right, let's
go watch Inglourious Bastards, and dude, Animal House is it's like a must. It's like a must watch.
So someone said it's for him. It's Lord of the Rings. Never seen one and don't plan on it. Same here. I don't think I actually know. I bought a ticket to Lord of the Rings and I went to see it in the theaters and I fell asleep in the theater.
What?
So I've still never seen. I've never seen it start to finish.
Lord of the Rings, actually, I think is my honestly. I like Star Wars a lot. Lord of the Rings is my favorite trilogy. It's so good,
dude. Justin says, just stop talking football and show the droid.
Hell yeah! Look at this thing.
I think you got a fan.
It's so cool. All right, you got to get, if you are a Star Wars fan, like this is a must own. It's so cool. You can put it on patrol. It chases my dog around. So someone else asked about Sock Defender for my dog. Yes. It'll chase. She thinks it's alive, and she's terrified of it because it makes noises and it lights up different colors and stuff. So it's great. You can put it on patrol and it'll go look at stuff. It's pretty awesome. So Sphero, the company Sphero should like pay me a lot of endorsement money now because I just
should
their toy.
You should copy and paste the YouTube link and send it to them and just show them how the product placement that we just gave them.
Right.
It's priceless. It really is. It's truly priceless, if you ask me.
I think so too. I'd put a price tag on it though.
A priceless price tag. I agree.
Right.
All right, so we're looking at week 14.
Let's
dive into quarterbacks real quick.
Yeah,
this
can we do like lightning round on everything?
I will try to be as lightning round as possible. This one, I'll start it off. First quarterback. I'm going to say this because all season it's been true. Play a quarterback against the Saints, and this week it is Jameis Winston, who's sitting at 5,500 on DraftKings. Let's see. This past week, he didn't go crazy. He still hit good value, 19.5 points on DraftKings for 5,300. He had a rushing touchdown, so that's kind of why he did better. But we're seeing them throw the ball a lot more when they're inside the red zone. That's why you'll see Doug Martin with no rushing touchdowns ever, except for I think this past week. But he puts up 230 plus yards on the ground against the Eagles and no rushing touchdowns. So just an example. But other than that, Pete, play your quarterbacks against the Saints. Anything else?
I think that's all of the hashtag analysis you need. Look, he's cheap. He's got the weapons. The Saints can't stop anything you want to do. Like, I think I could throw for 4 touchdowns against the Saints.
We didn't even mention, that's right, a healthier VJax, ASJ coming back. We'll talk about him later on. But, I mean, 3 healthy weapons, it's something he hasn't really had all season. Going against this crappy defense, I like him a lot. He's going to be one of my favorite picks this week, I think, especially at 5,500 on DraftKings.
I agree. He's the one we talked before the show about. Find the guys you like, make a lot of stacks with them. It's going to be a lot of Jameis.
Exactly. I think it's going to be a famous Jameis kind of weekend.
Yep. Speaking of which, he's got a ready-made career when football is over. Just barbecue, like famous Jameis barbecue. Like, bam. All right. Anyway.
That would be good. I'm actually craving barbecue now. Thank you very much.
All right. I'm going to turn the droid on while my dog is here. This is going to be great. Go ahead. Next quarterback.
All right. Next quarterback. I wish
She's
I could
looking
watch
right
that.
at it. She's looking right at it. Now she's looking at you guys. And here we go. Now she's sniffing it. I'm going to turn it on. See if I can show you guys. This is great. What? Oh. Okay.
Oh no, you're frozen again.
She's afraid.
Oh.
Now she's looking right at it. All right, go ahead.
Quarterback number 2, the man who cashed you in this league, Mr. Ryan Fitzpatrick, taking on a Tennessee defense that just gave up 5 touchdowns to Blake Bortles. Fitzpatrick got you 5+X each of the past 2 weeks at home against Miami, at the New York Giants. Threw for 390 against the Giants. I don't know if he'll throw for 390 again this week, but at 5,400 on DraftKings, again, you only need 20 points. It's not too bad. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I love tourneys, right? And I think Fitzpatrick is another good tourney play. I cashed with him more than once, not just the listener league. I was able to cash with Fitzpatrick even against guys who were playing Big Ben and Mariota. So I think he's a viable play. He's cheap. Look, the more we look at this, Mariota last week, Mariota, Fitzpatrick, who was the other really big low-price QB who hit like crazy? There was another low-price QB who hit like 40 points. Anyway, the point is...
Mariota, Fitzpatrick, Bortles.
Bortles, thank you. The point is, play the really cheap QBs. Like, play them, because there's no reason not to. And then you can load up your lineups.
There's no reason for all of these guys to be so cheap, especially... everyone we talk about every week, including Jay Cutler, who I eliminated from talking about this week because he's still 5,100 and we talk about him every week. So,
right.
Sorry, kind of broke my own rule and still talked about him. But that's it for Fitzy. Move on to the next guy who, big asterisk as to whether or not he plays. He got beat up pretty hard, and he's pretty old for a quarterback anyway.
This is old.
Matt Hasselbeck.
Right.
Matt Hasselbeck, Mr. Graybeard, Graybush, kind of hosed over, I think, a lot of people who were hoping for a shootout on Sunday night. He got beat up. I mean, his line couldn't hold him up, so he got.
In the listener league, that's what I was banking on in the listener league was a shootout, right? I mean, Colts,
me too.
Colts Steelers shootout. That's why I played Ty and Antonio.
Yeah, so
I thought that was a great play, and then it didn't. Yeah.
I had a couple stacks of that game, like we talked earlier about stacking a game. I had a couple of that game as well with, Ben Brown and Ty, or Hasselbeck, Ty, and Bryant or Brown, or one or the other, But so that's how it goes to show you, right? There's a very low floor if you deploy that strategy when things like this happen and your quarterback goes for 7 points. But next week, going into Jacksonville, 5,200 for Matt Hasselbeck on DraftKings. I mean, if he plays, that's a big if, right? If he plays,
I still won't use him very much, if at all.
He kind of returns to form here, right? I mean, 1, 2, 3.
If he plays, to be totally honest with you, even if he plays, I still wouldn't use him very much. And the simple reason why is what we were talking about before the show. He's one of those guys. He's like a meh, like I feel like I could play a stack with him. Who would I stack with him? I'm not really sure. I guess Ty again. There's an upside stack there. But if I'm only going to play one stack of Hasselbeck, I'd rather take that stack that I'm going to play and play another Jameis lineup or another Fitzpatrick lineup and try to mix up the rest of the players and try to hit than I would. I want to play guys like this is one of the strategies that I'm sort of changing. I used to just play all the stacks that I thought were viable. I'd make a list of all viable stacks and play them. Not so much anymore. Now, if I'm going to play that lineup, I'm going to tinker a little bit. I'm going to play another Jameis stack, and I'm going to tinker with it and try to hit. If I would have done that, so last week I played 2 Mariota stacks. If I would have played more Mariota Delaney stacks and tinkered with the guys in the middle, I would have hit bigger than if I would have wasted my time with 2 or 3 Hasselbeck stacks, right? So I'm off it, and the reason is exactly what we talked about before the show. So
just a heads up here, he did start in their earlier game against Jacksonville. He threw the ball 47 times. 3 of 47 for 282 yards and 1 passing touchdown. He got you 15 points. So you have to imagine the way that their defense has been lately. If he's out there and he's healthy, he'll be able to do better than that. That's in my opinion. I like him probably a little more than you this week, Pete, but I'm still not heavily on him. I'm still more than willing to spend the extra $300 on Jameis and go for him. But
or
question
equal
for
price
you.
on the guy below.
I think I know the answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway. If Hasselbeck is out, do you even consider Charlie Whitehurst in a lineup?
No.
Okay, good.
Just because at that price you can get other guys. Like, just get other guys.
Just because it's clipboard Jesus. I mean, I don't. So
yeah, he's
let's move
really
on to the next
embracing
guy.
that moniker, isn't he? Like, he's got more hair than
he has for years, dude. He has since his days in Tennessee. He's loved it.
I feel like Charlie Whitehurst would be a really cool guy to hang out with, like at a Grateful Dead concert, but not so much like to stack in your lineup.
I will wholeheartedly agree with that. So let's see here. Oh man, hold on. I'm gonna have to record the rest of
Victoria's Secret
here because The Weeknd is performing right now, and he's performing one of my favorite songs, my son's favorite song actually too.
Oh my goodness!
I will record it and I will play that for my son, maybe when he's older. Next quarterback, same price though, like you mentioned, Brock Osweiler at home, taking on Oakland. Struggled a bit in San Diego this past week. Now, I didn't watch the game, so I'm going to say he struggled a little bit just looking at the stats. Still completed 60% of his passes, but only threw for 166 yards, 1 touchdown and a pick.
They didn't really need to do a whole lot more.
That was really kind of my caveat, right? My reason for throwing my caveat out there.
The question is, with as bad as Derek Carr has played, will they need to do more this week?
That's a very good question. But I think at home, it's not going to be whether or not they have to do more. I think they're going to do more earlier on to the point where they'll notice, okay, we really don't have to do more after, 2.5 quarters. But hopefully by that time, Brock has gotten you 250 and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, again, a perfect example. I'd much rather play some Brock over Hasselbeck. So definitely usable in cash, definitely usable in tournament. I mean, I'm not super thrilled about it, but I'm probably going to play at least 1 or 2 lineups with him.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to our running backs. That's it for quarterbacks this week. And for the first set of running backs, I'm actually going to take the backfield. I didn't type this into our notes, so I apologize, Pete. But looking at either Frank Gore or Boom Herron, Gore at 4,300, Herron at 3,300. Herron had most of the passing downs against the Steelers this past week.
Gore caught a receiving touchdown, though.
But Gore caught the receiving touchdown in the first quarter. Once they went down, or second quarter, it was the first half, either way. Once they went down completely, right? Herron came in there, more targets, more snaps. Do you see this game being closer than Pittsburgh, and so Gore gets more burn? Are you willing to spend the 1,000 up on Gore?
Nope, I don't want either. Forgive me for not being very high on the Colts. Like, I just don't want anything to do with any of them right now. They look a mess. They look a mess. I think the Hasselbeck thing, they sort of caught the proverbial lightning in a bottle for a few weeks there. Even if Hasselbeck plays, I don't want anything to do with any Colt this week, which means they'll probably go off like crazy. But nope, no thank you. Sayonara.
Okay. I'm
much rather play the next guy on the list.
I'm not high on the Colts either, but I do think that they have a better showing up than this past week. And I think you're going to see, like for Hasselbeck, for example, you're going to see that recency bias against him because if he plays, because he hurt so many people this week, right? There's going to be a lot of players like that I tend to look out for, where they screwed over a ton of people the previous week. So a lot of people are probably off of them. And it's the opposite is true too, right? Guys like A-Rob who blew up for people or didn't blow up for people, right? He blew up, period, this week. Next week, he's getting some Vontae Davis defense, who shut him down pretty well the first time they played. Now, granted, he hasn't been, Vontae of old, but it's a different play there, right? So I'm going to be taking that into consideration when I construct my lineups, because I like to think that A-Rob's not going to go out and put up another 46 points. Right?
No, but he'll have a decent week. Whether or not he's worth the money, I don't know. The thing is, like, recency bias, I think, definitely comes into play on A-Rob. I think he'll probably be over-owned this week. However, I don't think it comes into play on the Colts, and here's why. I wasn't that high on the Colts last week. Like, yeah, I played them with my Steelers lineups in anticipation of a potential shootout. That's just because the Steelers can't stop anybody or anything. Now, they happen to stop the Colts this week. Okay, that sort of that sort of confirms my belief that I should not be too high on the Colts. You know what I mean? Like, that's my recency biases. I wasn't that thrilled about using a Hasselbeck stack last week. All the Hasselbeck TY Gore that I used fell on their faces. So now I have no reason to use them this week.
Okay, so let's move on to our next.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I don't think the Jaguars are any easier of a matchup than the Steelers were.
From a running perspective, they're just as tough. But passing, they're a joke.
So is Pittsburgh, though.
They were, yeah. Up until this past week, of course.
Clipboard Jesus, yeah.
All right, so let's go to the next running back on the list, and that is Mr. James White, who, looking at his stats, seems like a poor man's Buck Allen, sitting at 4,100 on DraftKings, up from 3,300 last week. But just like Buck, did all of his damage through the air. Caught 10 for 115 and a touchdown. The Patriots trailing by 21 points at one point during the game, but trailing for a good chunk of that game period, right, by a big margin, to the point where they just had to completely abandon LeGarrette Blount and throw the ball. At Houston this week, do you see the same thing happening? I mean, Brady, the whole Brady Patriots, they don't lose multiple games in a row. Well, now they've lost 2. They don't lose 3. I mean, you see the same thing happening where it's going to be a close game. We'll see a lot of White, or is his price risen too high for you?
No. See, the thing is, he was criminally cheap. 2 weeks ago, 3,000. Last week, 3,300. Now 4,100. He's just been criminally cheap. Price is not too high. Love him a lot. New England shouldn't have been losing last week, and they were, right? So they very well. We don't know what to expect out of New England. Now, I don't expect a whole bunch of special teams touchdowns, but Houston can score. They're not that bad of a team. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. I think James White is going to be involved. And, there's always the opportunity for the goal line touchdown. How many times have you seen it? The Patriots, they get the ball down at the 1. What do? They rush up to the line of scrimmage and then run a Brady sneak or a quick handoff to the running back. So I love White again. I think he's a good play again. I'd use him over Gore. I'd use him over Heron.
Okay, next running back on the list is Alex's favorite, Duke Johnson, 3,800 on DraftKings. Taking on the Browns are hosting the 49ers this week. According to DraftKings, the 49ers give up the most fantasy points to opposing running backs. True or not? Duke does, again, most of his damage through the air. Johnny Manziel starting this week. Duke sitting at 3,800. At that price, he's hit value once, twice, 3, 4 times this season, maybe. I mean, that's not that often. So are you counting on him this week to actually do something, or is it more of a
not really?
Are you going to take my approach and it's kind of like a wait and see? I'm not sold on this backfield at all. I've been off of it for weeks.
That's sort of the bigger problem, is Cleveland is not really a team that you want a part of this year. The Bears just rushed for almost 200 yards against San Francisco. That was cool to see. Is it going to be Crowell? Is it going to be Duke? What's going to happen? This is just not a game. I think it's a low-scoring game, first of all. Not a lot of upside. I don't care who's at quarterback for the Browns. I'm not that excited about Duke. Sorry.
No, sorry, Alex, but yeah. I agree. I mean, I haven't been high on him for a while now, especially when McCown's not in there, right? McCown knows to dump it off to Duke if he has to, or Barnidge is his man, right? But Austin Davis, just stop it. Manziel, I think, looks for the deep ball a little more. I don't think he really looks to check down as much, so I'm off of Duke.
Right.
But we do mention him every so often, pretty much every week on the show. So I had to throw him in there. Next guy has been benefiting from Ryan Matthews being injured.
Matthews is going to be back, so no on this guy.
Is he definitely going to be back? Are we sure
Not
about
definitely, no, not definitely. But I don't see it this week. I'm sorry. I'm not. So we're talking about Darren Sproles, and
Yes.
from what I've heard, Matthews is likely back. I mean, it's not a definite thing, but I think he will be. So that kills Sproles' value. Even if he's not, the thing is, you want guys with high upside, right? I don't view Sproles as that high of upside. Like, even if Matthews is out, I don't view him as that high of an upside play. I mean, do you, honestly? Like, even at 3,500, there's other guys I'd rather play. I'd rather play Duke than Sproles. I like Duke's upside over Sproles.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
San Francisco just got benched all over the place. And Duke, has a definitive role, whether or not other running backs play.
And Buffalo just gave it up too, though. I mean, their defense hasn't been great. It also depends on their injuries along the defensive line, right? I mean, once or twice they've had a defensive tackle out, and that's when a running back has a huge game against them, or a defensive end linebacker out, and that's when the pass rush is shit and they get thrown all over. But
yeah, but I mean, okay, you take away. Sorry, go ahead.
Sproles ran the ball 15 times against New England.
Yeah, what are they doing? What are they doing? Why did you pay for DeMarco Murray? What are you doing, Philadelphia?
They something's up where, I mean, even at the very end of the game, they're running Kenjon Barner out there instead of DeMarco Murray to finish the game out.
You know who's a better NFL coach than Chip Kelly?
Anyone?
Literally anybody. Yeah.
Like it's I don't know. I don't get it. I liked Darren Sproles' upside. If he were a couple things.
By the way, how good does sorry to interrupt. I made a trade real early in the season. I gave up in week 3. I gave up DeMarco Murray. I got back Melvin Gordon and Brandon Cooks. How good? And it's a keeper league. How good does that trade look right now? Yeah. All right, go ahead. Sorry. And I can keep Cooks.
I'm not a Gordon fan. I've been saying that from the preseason.
Even if it was just Murray for Cooks, right?
Just Brandon Cooks. Exactly. Yeah. Just Cooks, I'm happy.
But, all right, sorry. Go ahead. And it's a PPR league, too. And Cooks I can keep for $6.
No. So that's what I was saying was that I'd be high on Sproles if a couple things. A, Matthews was out. And B, I was guaranteed some sort of floor, like guaranteed another double-digit carry week. But you're not with Sproles. So and
there was that news item about DeMarco Murray talking to the Philadelphia Eagles owner after the game.
He talked to Lurie, yeah. But on top of all that, this isn't a game where Philly's expected to be down a significant amount either, right? Because that's something else you can look at. If they're underdogs by double digits, then yeah, okay. Game flow looks like Sproles is going to be in there because they're going to be passing to play catch up. Not looking like it this week. So enticing price. Again, one of those guys looking like, people will scroll through and look at this. They won't look at the actual stats because he didn't score a rushing and receiving TD. It was a punt return.
It was a punt TD. Yep. And you can't rely on that.
No, not at all. But he scored you 20 points. So someone's going to, guaranteed someone out there is going to look through this. 15 rushes, 4 catches, 20 points, 3,500. Oh, I'm definitely going to play him.
And that's a bad idea.
Bad idea. I'm staying away from him. But
this is why people, if you want to play DFS, you should listen to the show. Because you might be scrolling through and see 20 points, 3,500, and you play him, and you'd feel real dumb afterwards. But if you listen to the show, all right.
Yeah, you get smarter and a little sexier too, if you ask me.
Yeah, a little too sexy sometimes.
A little too sexy sometimes. Let's see. This next guy, just pure big asterisk and big question mark. If he were to play, which does not look likely, but if he were to play at 3,500 at Cleveland, are you having shares of Carlos Hyde?
Yeah. 1 or 2, not a lot. If he's definitely active and he plays, then yeah. But only 1 or 2. And here's why you have to limit it, because coming back from an injury, that multiple week injury, his workload is going to be limited, right? Yeah. I mean, I could see him being active and getting 7 carries for 34 yards, and then Drone does everything else. So yeah, I'll use him once or twice. Just why not? But in general, there's all the hashtag analysis you need. Even if he's active, use with caution. Probably not a good play. Carlos Hyde, see you later.
All right, that's it for running backs this week. Let's move on to wide receivers. The first one should be pretty quick there, Pete. We mentioned him when we were talking about famous Jameis.
Yeah.
And that's his wide receiver 2 out there, Vincent Jackson. He's coming in depressed price tag at 4,500 now. So you're at home against New Orleans.
Yep.
You're likely going to take on Brandon Browner defense, who is basically a revolving door at DB. He got burned play after play.
He's not a DB. He's a safety, and they're asking him to play cornerback. So play everybody against the Saints.
Good point. Right. So that goes back to, again, what we were saying against famous Jameis. You got to play this guy. In week 2 at New Orleans, he went for 3 for 54 and a touchdown. So 14 points, not that bad. But with ASJ there, with Mike Evans now, healthy there, you're going to see, I think, single coverage, or at least attempted single coverage on one guy. And I think it'll end up, rotating between Vincent Jackson and ASJ as they try to double and shut down Evans.
Yeah.
So that's it for him. Next guy on the board is Inquan Bolden, 4K on DraftKings.
Bolden was like my sleeper this week. I probably played him 5 or 6 times. And I thought, this is going to be great. He's been getting 90-plus yards, 5 to 6 catches the past 2 weeks. I mean, he's got a solid base, 15-point base. And then what happens? Nothing. So, what
happens was he ran into your Bears defense that you've been touting for the past
buzzsaw of the mighty Bears, who can't win a game if their freaking lives depended on it.
But they can stop a receiver. But they can stop a receiver who's scored 14-plus points 2 weeks in a row on DraftKings.
I still like Bolden this week. End of story. Analysis over.
I agree. It's at Cleveland. Their secondary has been pure shit all year.
Don't be that mean to pure shit. Don't equate pure shit to Cleveland secondary. That is totally unfair to pure shit.
Okay, I apologize. Is it the smiling pile of poo emoji? Would that be better?
Right, that would be better. Yeah, because that guy, you can just keep your troubles on him, and he's smiling the whole time. He doesn't care. They just slide off him like water on glistening poo.
Like if we put this into a podcast, and I had to title the podcast this
water on glistening poo.
Water on glistening poo.
Why don't we do that? We need more listeners, because I drop gems like that at least once a show, and there's just not enough of a listener base to enjoy that greatness.
Dude, that's another T-shirt idea.
Like just water on glistening poo. Write it down. Write it down.
With water dripping down.
Write it down.
Oh, God. Oh, goodness. All right. Let's move on to our next receiver. We were high on him big time last week. I think the same asterisk goes out this week as we had last week, assuming Rashard Matthews is out. I don't know if he is. I haven't read up on his rib injury. I don't know if he actually broke anything. Alex seemed pretty adamant that he did. But Devontae Parker, if he gets this start, going to go up against the Giants defense that just got torched by Fitz and Marshall. Devontae Parker, 4K on DraftKings. You're going to be – I know we'll have exposure to him, so I'm not going to ask that question, but will you be overweight?
Tough call. So I actually have a really interesting decision. So here, let me give the listeners out there who are now wearing their like water on glistening poo t-shirts, okay? Let me give them an example of how high I actually am on Devontae Parker this week. So I guess I'm answering the question already. If Rashard Matthews is out, I'm going to be overweight on Devontae Parker. Here's a decision I have in regular fantasy. So it's the playoffs. I have to win.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon Marshall, Julio Jones, Jeremy Maclin, Jordan Matthews, Devontae Parker. Now, I am seriously considering playing Marshall and Devontae Parker and benching Julio, Josh Norman. Okay?
Yes.
And in my flex, so then I have a flex decision. So then my flex would be between Julio, James White, and Devontae Parker. Okay? So I'm actually considering playing Devontae Parker and James White over Julio Jones. Like that's how high I am on both of those guys this week, actually. And I really don't think it's that crazy of an idea. Atlanta has just been
really not, but it's just crazy to hear it.
Right. That's the thing is like when I first saw it, I'm like, am I really going to bench Julio Jones in the playoffs and play James White and Devontae Parker over Julio Jones? And I had to think about it for a while, and I think I'm actually going to do it. So, yeah, I'll be overweight on Devontae Parker probably. Look, the Giants, again, assuming Rashard Matthews is out, which I think he will be, the Giants suck, okay? They're hashtag analysis. They're a glistening pile of poo that the water comes down.
Now, is that insulting the glistening pile of poo now?
It might. Well, but remember, he is. You know, he's resilient. He's a resilient glistening.
Yes,
it just rolls off him like water on a glistening pile of poo. Yeah.
Like water on a glistening pile of poo. Okay, let's move on to. All of that said, we like Devontae Parker. Let's move on to our next wide receiver who absolutely killed it 2 weeks ago, continued to eat this past week with a touchdown, but I don't know if you watch Big Bang Theory, but
I'm
if
sorry,
you do,
I'm not gay. No, there's nothing. There's anything wrong with that. No, I'm not a big fan of Big Bang Theory, but you know what? Can I tell you a story about Big Bang Theory?
Please.
My girlfriend hates it. I've never watched a single episode in my life. I probably would not like it as well. So she hates it, but I'll go around and I'll just say Bazinga like all the time, and it drives her nuts.
Yes.
Bazinga. See, she just threw something at me. She heard me say Bazinga and came from the other room and threw something at me. Bazinga.
Dude. So first off, great show. Great show. Weird premise, but very good show. Regardless of that.
Yeah, Justin B says, how does Mark watch Big Bang Theory but not all these great movies? That's damn right, Justin B. Justin B knows what's up.
Because I don't watch a lot of movies.
I don't know where it is. You threw it at me. I don't know where it went. It flew past my head and into the nether regions of that area.
So, in Big Bang Theory, Will Wheaton plays a character, like plays himself. And in one episode, he's battling Sheldon, the lead actor.
It's gone. And you're not going to get it back.
He tools on him, and Sheldon says this.
Okay.
So
okay.
He screams Wheaton at Will Wheaton. That was me each of the past 2 weeks when Marcus Wheaton has scored, because 2 weeks ago I was heavy on Brown and Bryant. This past week,
hey, here it is.
Same thing. And he just steals touchdowns. So he's coming in now. He's starting, it seems, to live up to the preseason hype that Ben kind of, was throwing on him, right? Oh, he's the most improved. He's our number 2, blah, 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 blah. Do you think he makes it 3 in a row? I mean, at 3,600 this week,
why not?
Cincinnati's defense, you have to imagine they're going to try and take Brown out of the game.
You know what this is?
This I think is going to be high scoring.
What was the Patriots team that was really damn good? Like they were putting up like 50 points every week. Was that 2010? What year was that? Whatever team that was, the Patriots team that was just dropping 50 on everybody every single week.
2011.
In fantasy,
that was their
you remember that year, right? And that was the year where if you were playing a regular fantasy league with all your buddies, whoever had the most Patriots was going to win, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
That's what this is. Whoever has the most Steelers is going to win. Like, just get as many Steelers as you can into your lineups. If you would have played, I actually did this last week just because I thought, why the hell not? I played a Big Ben, Martavis, and Antonio stack, and it freaking worked. Like, that's how crazy this is. You want every part of this lineup you can get, and if you can get a part of it for 3,600, you should get it.
I like it. I'm right there with you. All right, moving on to our last receiver. I'm actually going to make it a group of receiver and make you go either or. The Seahawks, the past couple weeks, passing game, I'm not going to say it's been coming alive, but it's better.
Russ is becoming Russ again.
Angry Doug at 4,500, who's caught multiple touchdowns the past 2 games, or Tyler Lockett, their speed guy, who just seems to be an incredibly fast football player. At 3,500, which one are you on this week?
This is a tough call.
At Baltimore, sorry.
This is a tough call. I'm going to have to say probably Sorry, I just saw some Jason Hayward news. The Cubs already got Zobrist. I'm hoping they get Hayward too. I don't know if it's going to happen.
They dished out Castro to my Yanks.
Yeah, I'm so happy. Dude, the Cubs are having a brilliant offseason. Enjoy Starlin Castro. He sucks. If we get Hayward and Zobrist, this is amazing. Yeah, dude, Castro's terrible. And he's juicing, so he's gonna get a suspension, and he's a terrible ball player. So enjoy him. Thanks for the pitcher for free. Castro's terrible. What were we talking about? We were talking about the Seahawks receivers, right? Yeah, dude, but he sucks. Trust me. As a diehard Cubs fan who's watched every game of Starlin Castro's career, he's terrible. Have fun. No. He can't field. He only hits when it matters, and he's probably juicing right now because his power came out of nowhere. And guess who's in the dugout? Good old Manny Ramirez. So what do you think Manny and Starlin are doing? Going out, having a few beers here and there, and now Castro's belting homers over the fence. Have fun with that. All right, now back to the question. The Seahawks. Hey, by the way, I didn't brag about this because I missed last Thursday's show. Who's the guy who started Russ Wilson over Tom Brady? That's right.
Hey,
that's
nicely
right.
Done.
Started Russ Wilson over Tom Brady. I wish I would have done it 2 weeks in a row, although this week it was so close it didn't matter. It was only like a 1 point difference.
This week didn't matter.
Yeah, but 2 weeks ago I started Russ Wilson over Tom Brady, and to the brilliant victory, I won. Tally ho.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you. I think, look, you can play them both. You can play Lockett and Baldwin. I actually did play Baldwin a couple times this week. Obviously worked out. I prefer Baldwin. He gets more catches. He gets more targets. And you know what Baldwin is to me? First of all, he's got an awesome name, Doug Baldwin. I like it a lot. But there's this. Have you ever watched Japanese wrestling? Like the WWE of like, no. Like the WWE of Japan. I don't know what it's called. I forgot what it's called, but it's hilarious and it's great and it's so funny. Then there's this old guy who's like Mr. Technical. Like he'll come in and he just wears like a t-shirt and like some athletic shorts. Everybody else is like really flashy, like the pro wrestlers, really flashy pro wrestlers. This old guy will come in with like this t-shirt and athletic shorts, and he's not like really buff or anything. He's not on any performance enhancing whatever. And he'll just come in and like beat some ass, and then he'll just leave. That's Doug Baldwin. Okay, I'm gonna look up that guy's name. I think I know his name.
So the analogy is he'll come in, whoop up on you real quick, and then just not show up for the rest of the time. Yeah,
pretty much. Trying to see if I can find him.
Justin mentions in the chat that he goes with the Ravens, take the fast guy. So I like Lockett more myself because I thought the same thing. On the outside, speed, he's going to be able to get open deep. We'll get a deep touchdown at some point in this game, and he'll pay off, in one play. That's my hope anyway.
Okay.
But as you look that up, do you want me to move to tight ends, or you want me to wait for it?
No, move on. I'm not going to be able to find it. I tried my best.
Valiant effort. All right.
Go watch
Moving on to tight ends.
Wrestling. It's pretty awesome. Like the Japanese version of the WWE. It's everything you'd hope for and more.
Vance McDonald, Vance Refrigeration, at 2,800. He's dropped a couple hundred on DraftKings. Had a terrible, another 49er receiver, pass catcher, that did not do well against Chicago, but now gets the lovely Browns. So at 2,800,
I just don't want a lot of this game. I'm sorry, I don't. I'd rather play the next name on this list. I don't want a lot of this game. I don't want Vance McDonald. Next. I kind of want Anquan Bolden just because Bolden's my homie. You know what? I love Anquan Bolden. He's my favorite NFL player. I just want to go on record as saying that. This guy's been awesome since he came into the league. He's a true professional. He always gives his maximum effort. I mean, and he was a stud. People forget how good he was when the first few years in the league. Like he was instantly one of the top
his 5. Injury too. Can we go back to the fact
when he just got knocked the F out against the Jets?
He broke his face.
Yeah,
he got hit so hard against the Jets that his face mask came off.
And he was like playing like 3 weeks later, wasn't he? Or like real soon.
3 weeks later with a wired jaw, wired shut.
Like
jaw,
okay, I'm gonna come in here and catch a bunch of passes and run some damn people.
The fact
over.
that Kurt Warner came out and said he flat out considered retiring after that week because he didn't want to do that to another receiver.
Right. Yeah.
How crazy is that?
I love Anquan Bolden. He's one of my favorite, if not my favorite NFL player.
I agree because he's got an attitude. He's not really diva-ish, but he's got an attitude, which like every receiver has.
But it's justified. The dude's awesome.
Puts up, dude. He puts up like always there. When a QB needs him or you need him in the clutch, he's there.
Yeah,
always. That's why I agree with you. One of my favorite players to watch, especially in clutch time. Awesome receiver to watch. Now, let's move on to our more favorite tight end. We're going back to the well. We preached it for about 6 weeks. We warned. Finally came back last week. Very underwhelming, but that keeps him priced down 2,700. Another game. Play your bucks against the Saints. Austin Seferian-Jenkins.
Yep. And you know what else you should play against the Saints? Any tight end. So
love it. Yes, they are the worst in the league in all forms of the passing game. They're I think on pace for this week or next week to basically give up the most passing touchdowns in a season in NFL history.
Yep.
Just a heads up there. In saying that, a lot of all Bucks are pretty much going to be chalk this week. So do what you will with that information. I'm of the thought that I'm going to spread around my
honestly though, like
them,
that's the thing.
This is going to be one of the weeks where it's worth it.
How much chalk can they be? Because you've also got to play Steelers. You've also got to play there's a lot of chalk. You got to play some Mariota. You got to play some Delaney. Like there's a lot of chalk you got to play this week. So play the chalk.
I'm up for it. I'm up for it. All right. We're done with tight ends then. That was it. Very short week at tight ends. A lot of the higher priced ones have pretty good matchups as well. But value pick show. So we're trying to keep it cheap for you. Moving on to defense. The first one we're going to take a look at is the Detroit Lions. Never thought I'd be bringing them up on the show, but the past few weeks they've looked pretty good from a real football perspective, right? Not crazy from a fantasy perspective, right? If we go back 3 weeks, 4 weeks, let's go back 4 weeks to when they really started coming on against Green Bay, right? 4 points, 7 points, 9 points, 5 points. So not crazy, but now going into St. Louis, so they're staying in the dome. It's not like they're going outside, staying in the dome on the fast track, taking on nobody really at wide receiver. So Slay probably stays on the outside on I don't even know who.
Dude, all you need to know about this is Nick Foles. Foles. Did you watch the game? I was watching part of the game.
Or even Case Keenum, whoever starts.
Or whoever, yeah. Well, Nick Foles if Foles is starting, I was at Buffalo Wild Wings so I could see all the games. I'd turn over and look at the St. Louis game, and I'd see Foles overthrow a receiver by a solid 10 yards. The receiver just watches the ball go over his head, was that to me? And then there's no one over there's oh, that was to me. Huh? All right. Well, I'm not going to try on the next play either. I mean, he was throwing 40-yard passes to receivers that were 10 yards away. They were sailing over their heads. Every time I looked up, I could look away. I'd watch the Bears game for a bit. Okay, Bears. Okay, Bears. Oh, hey, Nick Foles just overthrew somebody by 40 yards again. Every time, he's really bad. He's really, the only smart thing Chip Kelly did was trading him. So good job, Chip Kelly.
So yes, I agree. Very bad. Defense is playing much better from a Detroit perspective. So I like them. 2,700. They don't have to do much to pay off.
Yep. Lions are a good play.
Let's move on to the next one, who I honestly cannot believe that they are the cheapest defense on the book this week, and that's
that does strike me a little odd.
That's the 49ers taking on Manziel and Cleveland. Now, granted, it's on the road. If you look at the splits, they're much better at home than on the road. So I get that.
It's still good enough.
It's still Manziel. It's still the Browns. They're still trotting out Dwayne Bowe at receiver every now and then. I mean,
that's the thing.
There's it's $2,100 for them.
There's nothing to be afraid of on this offense. Nothing.
Right?
So play the Niners if you want to go real cheap at defense. We recommended the Redskins last week. If you want to go real cheap at defense, play the Niners.
I don't mind it at all. And I do think I missed one. Oh no, sorry. Captain Pick 6 I mean, going against the Seahawks this week, it's pretty much guaranteed.
That's going to be a lot of fun to play the Seahawks defense this week.
Yeah, so they'll
What's the
be chalk
over-under
this
on
week,
pick
but
sixes? Like, if I legitimately said over-under on pick six is 1.5, what would you take for
I was
Matt
going
Schaub
to say
this
that's
week?
got to be 1.5. It's
Yeah,
got to be
so
1.5, and
would
I
you
would
take
have
the
to
over?
I think I would.
I think I'd take the over. Like, honestly.
I think I can see him throwing multiple pick sixes this game.
He's done it before. Didn't he throw like
And he'll
3
probably
in one
do it
game?
again.
Something insane like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if he did, but either way.
Or maybe it was in back-to-back games, 3 games.
He's not good.
So for those of you who don't follow me on
he's
Twitter,
not good.
I tweeted out, Alex texted me. I was watching the games, and Alex texted me right when Schaub threw a pick six this week. He texted me, Officer Pick Six reporting for duty. Oh, it's great. It's so true.
Dude, it is fantastic. It is very fantastic. But let's see here. That is it. That is it for us. We've touched everybody. We've touched all of our
I hope we haven't
all of
touched
our value
That's
picks.
probably illegal.
Oh, yeah, bad choice of words. We've touched on everybody, including a glistening pile of poo. And with that, I will leave you for the rest of your night, folks. Thank you very much for watching. We appreciate it.
Rock
As always,
and roll ain't noise pollution.
please click the thumbs up if you like the video. We appreciate it. It helps us.
Completely ignore my nonsense now. That's where we are.
I had to.
I know, it's okay.
I had to. Yes. Please click the thumbs up, like us, share us, provide comments if you guys have any questions. We're trying to get back to you as soon as we can. Follow us on Twitter at Alex Hanowitz, who's not here. He's busy at a basketball game. At P. Karaganis. I am at Emin Milano. One last thing, Pete, send me the link for your play. I will put it in the description for the video.
December 18th. It's a Sticky play. It's part of Sticky, which is produced at local pubs and other fine establishments.
There you go.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Send us the link. I know people wanted to know about it. Even if they could not attend, they wanted to know about it. So, yes, thank you guys very much for joining, for watching. We appreciate it, and we will catch you guys on Thursday for the lineup show. Thank you again, and take care for the night. Peace.